Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Monday night, 8 p.m. The Online Darts Live Lounge returns. Episode 170, boys, and we haven't been cancelled yet. It's going to be a good night. I can feel it.
More remarkable than you might think that this week. I think we're still on air. Hey, yeah, exciting night, isn't it?
Yeah, how is everyone? All good?
Very well. Done in. I've been busy all week. I work's ridiculously busy. I mean, backwards and forwards to Southport. I think tonight's my only night in my bed this week as well. But busy, but good. Yeah, really nice. Nice to be glad that my day home fitted with the show tonight. So yeah, all is well.
Yeah, look, play going on tonight. For those that are joining us for the World Seniors Draw, that will take place at 8:30. Don't you worry about that. But boys, again, never a dull moment in the darting world. Jack got injured today as well, cut his finger. It's not been a good day, Gob, is it?
No, just slice out. All ready to just take my seat as the players marshal today. A bit more of a laid back one, no standing up all day. Slice, that'll do, yeah. Solid work.
Yeah, everyone, we just shared some links on social media, so if you could give them a little bit of a share, we'd massively appreciate your support. And of course, drop us a like and subscribe. Chat room is busy already. Dale is in. How are we doing? Dale, I'll star your question for later on. James, Mark, Shelby is in. Kieran, Lendl, how do? Warren, Sam. It's been a while since we haven't watched live. Good to be back. Matt is in. Connor, how are we doing? Daniel, Tommy, Robbo, Nels. Anthony is in. Says, good morning from down under. 5 a.m. here in Wollongong. How are we doing, buddy? Good to have you in. How was the flight? James is in. Chris is in. Chat room's rammed already, boys.
Busy night. Busy. You'd think we were doing something exciting later.
Yeah, it's going to be good, isn't it? First of all, let's jump into the ADC. It was the conclusion of their tour events this weekend, both for the ADC and the WADC. It was all roads lead to Portsmouth, and we know the lineups. We'll come on to them in a minute, but just the presence on social media again. The tour events on the ADC looked incredible again.
Doing a good job. They're doing a real good job of getting the brand out there, promoting it. The venue, we said it last time, looks absolutely fantastic for darts. The guys at Bramwell Farm have done a great job there. But yeah, look, coverage, constant updates, results, photos as well, which is more than we get from approach. Obviously, they do have the benefit of live streaming 4 boards, but just those live reactions and people at the hockey, it just gives you that. It's easier to follow, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's easier to follow. And look, the stuff on Darts Atlas looks really, really good. But it was important. It was an important weekend for all these players as well, because both for the men and the women, it was able to book their places at the end of tour finale at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. So there was a lot on the line.
Yeah, and obviously there's a few that can now relax having with that taken care of, isn't it? You know, that ticket is already booked, that slot is done, and you can now plan your diary accordingly because you've got you've got your place now. But I just echo it again. It does look really impressive, and they're clearly doing a very good job of making sure that they're capturing it well. Because the venues look brilliant on social media. So it's either that the venues are brilliant or they're doing a brilliant, really good job of taking very generous photographs and editing them well. But it just looks great. And I think it's obviously it's just good for the sport, isn't it? The more of that going on and the more that it continues to grow, the better.
And we look at the names. We'll touch on the men's side of the ADC first. The names that are now going to these, they're established semi-pros in brackets that have bought into this as well. When it first happened and everything like that, there was a lot around it and people weren't quite sure. But now established season pros are buying into this.
Yeah, the standard is scarily good as well. I was literally talking to Bradley Brooks on this same conversation today, who was one of the 8 players who was qualified for the finals. He's like, it's mad. Like, all right, you're going to get a couple of slightly nicer draws and games than you are on a pro tour. But the minute you run into one of the big guys, they're doing serious damage. He's lost this weekend with 100 average, lost this weekend with 95 average. He's like, that shouldn't happen at amateur level, but it is happening. He's like, that's ridiculous to just keep running into.
Oh, 100%. And you just look at the numbers, like you say, that are being posted. This is now a real organisation, because when it was mad, there were question marks. But now, since the move to the ADC, the big rebrand, we've got the Global Championship to look forward to. This is now a serious player in the landscape.
It is, as much as that, because of the level of competition that it's attracting, the level of dart player that we are seeing that is attending these events and being successful in them, it almost, the product itself can't help but be carried along with that, can it? Because the level of player is so high. We're seeing some really good stuff from them.
Yeah, and look, let's talk on the grand final, which will be Saturday the 16th at the Modus Live Lounge. Andy Bolton against Neil Duff, Gary Stone against Daryl Pilgrim, Thomas Banks, who we'll talk about more later on, against Bradley Brooks, Joe Croft against Charlie Martin. That is a stellar lineup, and whoever comes through that is going to earn the £2,000 first prize.
Too right.
It's a proper good lineup, isn't it? It's and which is good for everybody. Obviously, it's good for the players because they're there and they're playing a high level of competition. But it's certainly good for fans and spectators and people going to watch it because whilst it is amateur darts, the level of darts that you are likely to see from those 4 matches, it's not amateur, is it? Like we call it amateur darts, and it is, but you are not going to watch the amateur game. It's not like going and watching, tier 10 football on a Saturday afternoon, is it? You will see very, very good darts played, I expect, in all 4 of those games. There's some great matches there, but I think the standard's going to be very high.
Yeah, 100%. How are we doing? Anthony is in the chat room, as is the Duff man, Neil Duff. Wonder what he's waiting for. So all good there. But yeah, going back to it, look, we said they needed something to tie it off. Now we've got the Global Championship. We've got the Vaults running pretty much every day of the week to give players a platform. Are we now saying, especially in the UK, is the ADC now the #1 amateur organisation?
It's certainly in contention. I don't think you can make it clear #1. The WDF are about to run two majors this year, the World Masters and the World Championships, which got off the ground last year. We gave a lot of stick at the start, but actually ticket sales look pretty good for Lakeside. If they can continue to build on things like production quality and fan engagement and that sort of thing, then I'm not saying that the WDF tour as a whole is the most attractive, especially if you're based in the UK, because of the number of you've got to tick and jump.
But the tour events, players now know what they've got. There's stuff all the time. They know the dates are penciled in. There's vaults. That's something that isn't there with the WDF in the UK.
I think if you it's very difficult to create something from nothing. I know they have, they've used existing structures, but I think that they're definitely establishing themselves as the organisation that will become the dominant force, certainly in the UK. If they're not there now, then it's very, very difficult to see how the trajectory they won't continue to develop in the way that they are and become certainly the most dominant and the go-to within the amateur game, certainly in the UK. They're doing a brilliant job.
Yeah,
because you think about it, in the UK, it's all of the events are administered by the governing body. In the UK, for the WDF, they're administered by the home nations.
Yeah.
And at least one of them is crap.
No, I think you're being generous with just one.
I was about to say that. I think
at least one is.
So yeah, and of course, running alongside the ADC, we've got the WADC, the women's side of it as well, and this is their first year as a standalone. And again, absolute kudos to everyone involved in the WADC team, because again, a great platform for the women to express themselves and showcase the talents that are there. It's another,
like the draw for the final, the quarters and the semi, like it's another great draw, isn't it? Like it's very difficult to not look at that draw and think that it's very watchable. Yeah, really exciting.
100%. And yeah, you touched on that lineup for the grand finals, which will be Saturday the 9th of November at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. It will be Dita Hedman against Kim Holden, Gemma Hayter against Angela Kirkwood, Vicky Pruitt against Steph Clark, who has been sensational this year, picking up titles, and Fallon Sherrick against Lisa Ashton. One caveat to that.
It's a very busy weekend of darts.
I was going to say, Fallon or Lisa potentially may not be there yet because that is Grand Slam weekend. So if you're, I'm just going to have a look on Darts Atlas in a minute. If you're 9th on that order of merit, you're hoping that one of them qualifies for the Grand Slam.
Yeah, there is going to be there's certainly the potential for an opportunity for somebody to sneak in. So that draw, whilst it's a very attractive draw, not set in stone just yet, is it?
Going to be interesting, isn't it? That's for sure. But again, same with the men, with the women, the standard of women that are competing and the caliber of women that are going to these events is testament to what the WADC is trying to achieve.
Yeah, just look at the quality there. It's absent of a couple of big names, but they're the big names that aren't necessarily playing in it. Kim Holden and Angela Kirkwood have both been fantastic throughout the year. Angela Kirkwood was seriously in conversation for one of the top 5 female darts players on the planet at one point, and that was because of her form at the WADC event. Steph Clark's one of the latest England call-ups. She's making the most of it. And then you look at the quality in there as well. Dita Hedman, the resurgence of Gemma Hayter in such a short space of time. The impact Gemma is having on the women's game has been fantastic. Then obviously your stalwarts in Vicky and Fallon and Lisa, who are fighting to win events, but it's not as if they walked in and mopped up, by the way. No. Fallon v Lisa is a first-round tie. That tells you how tight it is because one of them is 7th.
Oh, 100%. And we mentioned ladies like Steph Clark that are really showcasing, and it looks as if they're ready to take the next step. And obviously, that is winning titles in the women's series. That's the natural progression for a lot of these ladies to do it at the WADC and then take the step onto the women's series.
I hope so. That's what amateur pathways exist for.
That is, if that continues to happen, then we can sort of say, well, it's working, isn't it? Like, you know, when we ask it, you know, is it the dominant force and is it doing what it needs to do? Well, that it's working if that starts to happen. If we start to see people using this structure to develop their game and get match practice and get competition practice and then take that game into the PDC tours, then the system's working.
Yeah.
Is there an argument that this could be the stronger side? Because in the absence of there is no women's professional tour in the PDC. You can go and get a tour card, but both of these routes now serve the same purpose, to jump up to be a full-time pro, which you don't get by following either of their routes specifically.
No, I completely agree. And probably for the first time in a long, long time, there is genuine pathways for the women now to earn a good living from darts. Like you say, with the women's series, the WADC, look, I know the WDF events are all over Europe, but certainly the carrot of 25 grand to the winner at Lakeside is there as well. There is good money to be earned. Certainly,
more than ever before. Is it? You know, whether it's only going to go up. Like it's not going to regress. It will only continue to increase. There will be more opportunities next year than there were this year to earn money. Undoubtedly.
Yeah, 100%. Going back to both sides of the WADC and the ADC, how would you assess the season as a whole from what we've seen from year one to year two? Obviously, year one for the women's side of it, but as a whole, massive improvements again from year one?
Yeah. I still find it a little strange that they've branded themselves as women's ADC. I don't think they're doing anything massively different from when they were just women's events within the ADC. I get that they want to stand out a little bit more, but the professionalism in terms of the tournaments they're running, the standard that they're producing, look at the difference in quality and step up of the field in this 8 specifically compared to the first 8 that played at the Super Series this time last year. Like, they're clearly doing the right things. The conversations are right around it, and it's going well.
What we seem to hear a lot as well is like we see it. We can look at the quality of darts that we can see, and we can look at averages, and we look at the photos on social media. But I think one of the things that's worth pointing out, and it's already happened in the chat room, is the players themselves seem to speak very high. So the players themselves are very vocal about saying how good it is and how much better it is than other things, and how much they want to go and play more of these events, and they want to keep going back to them. So I think that's that's the improvement, because if the player experience is good, you hope that everything else then develops from there. But it sounds like, anecdotally, we're told that the player experience is really good.
Yeah, and look, we'll touch on Thomas Banks more later on in the show, but literally he not flew literally, but as soon as he won at the Super Series, was in the car to get there for the Sunday's event, because it means something to them. I get he wanted to finish top seed because Andy Bolton overtook him on the Saturday, but beforehand, players are going, nah, it is what it is. But now they want to finish top of these rankings. There is a genuine desire to be the ADC number one.
Yeah. That's how you know it's working, because people care about it.
It's mad the amount of darts Thomas has played in the last week or so, by the way.
Yeah, incredible. Literally, Dev Tour, Portsmouth to the ADC. But he said at the weekend, I want to play more darts. I love it. And when you're that age, you can do. You haven't got to worry about burnout so much at that age, because it's all good, and it's just like, yeah, go. Let's go and play. You haven't got to worry about anything else.
You haven't got anything other to worry about in life either, have you, when you're that age? Like, you can just play darts. It's great.
Yeah. There's still some big names missing from the ADC tour. How long before do you think we see the rest of them jump ship and play in these events? In terms of some of the bigger name players that don't have a tour card, because there's still some missing that would make it stronger and better if they can get them to go across.
I think part of it depends on why they gave up their tour card or didn't get their tour card in the first place. Obviously, predominantly a lot of it's UK based. It's not quite as financially rewarding as chasing a pro tour or whatever. So you've got cost to consider at a time that's quite difficult for some people. But I think once you start seeing the payoff, it attracts more of that caliber player. It's very, very easy to attract my darts team, for instance, my lads from back home, to an event like this, because it's a progression from playing in Vaults and you're right, yeah, we're local, we're going to have a crack at it, we'll see what's going on, blah, blah, blah. It feels not a bit like a UK Open qualifier, but you've got a few names in there to take a shot at, but actually you genuinely feel like as long as you avoid one of them in the first couple of rounds, you can have a decent run. You get a shot at one of the big guys later on, and there's a good experience in that. The worry is that as soon as the big guys jump ship by seeing that payoff, that global championship, and that's a route to earning me a lot of money, is that it deters people at my level.
Right, okay.
But it does drive up the overall standard and what have you. So
I think it's going to happen. You are going to, if they continue to grow, and what that means is you get more people there, which means you can get more sponsor money, you get more money in, and if you get more money, you can pay more money out. And you can pay more money out, more people will come to try and win it, and better people will try and come and win that money. I think the trajectory you'll see over the next couple of years is the bigger names will come as that prize money starts to increase, and it probably will increase over the course of the next few years even. But that's where you will capture it, because the opportunity will become too good for them not to, if the prize money starts to increase, the opportunity will become too good for the non-tour card players to not go and have a go at it.
Especially if they're under management companies and that sort of thing. They're like, well, why am I backing you to sit on your ass and do nothing? There's events here. You can go and play darts. You can keep yourself fresh, and you can go and earn a shed load of money at the end of it for both of us.
I think certainly now that we've got November down in Portsmouth, I think next year we'll see more bigger names, those names that we haven't seen this year. Because now everybody knows that there's something at the end of it as well. It's not just going and playing the event and winning the event. Everybody knows that that's involved as well. And you might see people who are strategically looking to play events in order to secure a spot and an opportunity at the end. So I think you might see a bit more of that next year is people managing their diary and look at what they can go and play in and do in order to qualify for. Because there's a big lump of money that at the end if you come through it, and there will be people that want to be in the mix for it. Definitely.
This is going off topic a little bit, but still to do with the ADC. I know we've spoken about it a lot. The amateur UK Open qualifiers. Is this now the opportunity for the ADC to go and say to the PDC, let us run the amateur qualifiers? Because, look, Rileys aren't fit for purpose. We've seen that over the last couple of years. There are not Rileys all around the UK, so it's almost impossible for amateur players to get to some of these qualifiers, yet we've got vaults and people running ADC tournaments and very good ADC tournaments all over the UK. Is it now time for potentially the ADC to throw their hat in the ring and say, look, let us run the amateur qualifiers?
I bloody hope so. The system at the minute is crap. Right? It's completely inadequate. So I'm where I live. I'm 3 hours away from my nearest Rileys qualifier. Like, it's a 3-hour drive to my nearest one. Are you trying to work out where it is?
No, obviously I'm so used to having this conversation in Nottingham where there has always been one, and there's Sheffield and there's Wolverhampton and whatever, and now I'm not there.
Yeah,
I'm London again.
I think we have to
go to Victoria. No thanks.
Yeah, and there you go. Like that, for me, that proves that the current system is not fit for purpose. I think that it's absolutely vital that the amateur qualifiers remain a feature of the UK Open. I think it's absolutely vital. And there needs to be a better system with which for that to happen. So I think any system is better than what they've currently got if it allows anybody to participate and they don't have to travel for 4 hours on a National Express bus to do so. So
yeah,
there are some logistics that have to get around, but hopefully that wouldn't be an issue because the bigger is losing grassroots one-shot qualifier for your average Joe to play in that tournament. Me and Phil have disagreed on this in the past, but one of the core things that make the UK Open special is your Rob Cross story, your Barry Lynn story, Paul Hogan, Alex Roy doing it for so many years, despite being a former pro. I'm still going to go and qualify for that one event. Like, the chance for anybody without a tour card to go and qualify for that one-shot event and play the world champion on TV 3 rounds later has to remain.
Yes.
That is a crucial bit of the UK Open DNA for me and 95% of fans that follow people around that multi-board room, because yes, the atmosphere is special, but part of that is, oh my God, who is that?
Yeah, because who's that person?
In finals, you've got a multi-board room, not to the same extent, but you've got a multi-board room. But everybody knows the top 64 players, and if you're a darts fan, you're on that site going, yeah, cool. Or 95% of people in the room know who they are. Some of these Rileys qualifiers, people still don't know who they are by the end of the weekend. They've spent 3 games watching them. Like, that's the beauty of the UK Open.
It has to. I couldn't agree anymore. It has to stay, but the Rileys system is just. I mean, shit. It needs to stop.
That's what I mean. It's not fit for purpose. But we've got the ADC that are doing stuff all over the UK that is working, and look, Mr. Howson is in as well. Says it all.
Yeah.
That someone has been put off by the state of Rileys. I remember, was it last year or the year before when they were masking taping pool cues down as Ockies? Was it in Norwich?
They were cues. They were rests. They weren't pool cues, but yeah, the same thing. Because they were raised.
But yeah, it was just a thought and another pathway for the ADC to enhance the brand if they could pull something like that off and build on all the good work that Scott and his team are doing.
Definitely. Yeah, it'd be nice.
There is one thing they've got to get around, but hopefully that wouldn't be an issue just for this one off.
Matador was there. Yeah, but look, it will be interesting to see, but absolute kudos to the ADC and and the WADC and Scott and all of his team that have made this viable for amateur darts. Like we say, we have got the finals in November. We've got the Global Championship to look forward to in December. It's a good time to be an amateur player right now because not everyone can be a pro.
No.
I don't think there's been a better time, has there? I don't think there's much debate about that. I don't think there's ever been a better time than now to not be a professional dart player.
No, look, 100%.
Or not have a tour card.
Yeah, I know there's still pros without a card, but yeah, exactly. It's kind of that old conundrum, isn't it, that you're considered a pro if you've got a tour card type thing, which again doesn't really add up when you've got some pros that haven't even earned 10 grand. And
you've got people who haven't got a tour card who've earned 10 times more than that. So it's not really the barometer anymore, is it, as to whether or not someone's a professional.
No, but kudos to everyone. Right, everyone, we're going to run a quick ad break so we can change some bits around because you know what's coming next. It is World Seniors time, so we'll see you on the other side of this. It is time to talk World Seniors because all roads lead to the York Barbican for the Seniors match play draw. But first of all, let's touch on last year's tournament. What a venue the Barbican was. It delivered drama, personified. Leonard Gates edging out Jim McEwen in the final. Good time for Seniors darts right now.
It's a gorgeous venue, you know. Like I don't know what it's like for the players. It is a gorgeous venue for fans. Love it. I love that sort of amphitheatre style in the room. Easy to get to. I mean, it's perfect for me, isn't it? It's 40 minutes. It's absolutely superb. It's not very often I get darts within something of decent quality within 40 minutes of the house. But absolutely top draw venue. Really, really enjoyed attending last year. Very good.
Well, we're going to put this up on the screen a minute. So there are tickets available at the York Barbican website, which is there on screen Friday and Saturday, the 4th and 5th of October. Can and will Leonard Gates defend his title? He's got a lot of competition this year, plenty of names there, plenty of people playing well. God, I know you look at it all the time. What a lineup. What a 16 players we have for the match play.
Yeah, I mean, I was there. I know how closely fought the final qualifiers were. David Cameron was excellent all weekend. James Richardson to come through and win, not just the qualifier, but for the first time on a seniors tour in a field of that quality was superb. You have people like Andy Bolton missing out in semi-finals and finals. You have people like Jim Long losing in back-to-back semi-finals, I think it was. You've got the likes of earlier in the weekend, I know he's in the chat room, thank me for saying this, but a couple of early exits for the likes of Richie Howson and Paul Hogan and Mike Huntley and everyone that's up there in the seeding, and Matt Clark, who's found himself suddenly second ranked on the floor, and you're going, hang on a minute, these guys aren't even getting to last 16s and last 8s where they so normally are. And you're looking at this isn't disrespectful to those players, but you're looking at the players that are making those rounds and going, wow, this is a quality field. And if you consider that your top 3-4 seeds are having a bad weekend between them, and you're still looking at your last 8 and 16 going, my God, there's some quality there. That shows what a great place the top end of that is in.
Yeah, 100%. We've got a slide here for you. We have 8 seeds and 8 non-seeds. The numbers are there on screen for you. Richie Howson will be number 1. Robert Thornton, number 2. Leonard Gates, number 3. John Henderson, number 4. Kevin Painter, number 5. Paul Hogan, number 6. Martin Adams, number 7, and Neil Duff, number 8. They are your seeds. Your non-seeds, number 9, Phil Taylor. Number 10, David Cameron. Number 11, Lisa Ashton. Number 12, Trina Gulliver. Number 13, Chris Mason. Number 14, Matt Clark. Number 15, John Part. And number 16, James Richardson. What a lineup that is.
Yeah, very exciting. We're going to get in for some very, very good games, I think. Depending on what we are about to pull out the bag anyway.
Yeah, also, we're going to put them across the bottom of the screen for you to see as well. So the draw will commence. Dan will be drawing the seeds. Gob will be drawing the non-seeds.
I've got a much bigger bag than you. My bag's massive. A tiny little bag.
We're the same size. Evening, Derek. Derek made his debut, by the way. Derek from JenningsBet, who are fantastic sponsors throughout the history of the World Seniors, was given an honorary tour card to his contribution to the seniors when Jennings stepped back in the Champion of Champions of Blackpool, and then made his debut as a player. And I have to say, Derek, never has anybody's average gone up by so much from their first game to their second game.
Nice. Well done to you, Derek. Good stuff all in all. Right, so without further ado, let's crack on with the draw for the Seniors World Match Play. So, Dan, I would like the first one from you, please.
First one is...
You've got to go full... What's his face, haven't you?
Number 3. You can see that?
Number 3 is the defending champion, Leonard Gates. And he will play...
Okay. Number 16.
Number 16, James Richardson. Tough assignment for Ruthless.
Yeah.
Welcome to the seniors, James.
And Dan, number 2, please.
Next one out is number 7.
Number 7. That is the 3 times champion of the world, Martin Adams.
Number 14.
Number 14 is Matt Clark, someone that needs no introduction. It's a seniors darts.
Number 8.
Number 8 is the former WDF world champion, the Duff man, Neil Duff.
He's in the chat. Number 13.
Number 13, Chris Mason.
Oh, what a draw that is. Next is number 5.
Number 5 is the artist Kevin Painter, the former players champion.
Let's go with that one. Number 10.
Number 10 is the Canadian Excalibur, David Cameron.
He's playing lovely right now. Really, really nicely.
Next one. Number 4.
Number 4 is the current seniors world champion, the Highlander, John Henderson.
Number 9.
Will play the 16 times champion of the world, Phil the Power Taylor.
Ouch.
Number 2.
Number 2 is the back-to-back former world champion, Robert Thornton.
Number 15.
Will play the 3 times world champion, John Part.
Crikey. That's a match.
Ooh.
Number 1.
Number 1 is the seniors world number 1, Richie Howson.
He will play that one. Number 12.
Number 12 is the 10 times women's world champion, Trina Gulliver.
The last one is number 6.
Number 6 is the professional amateur, as he was dubbed, Paul Hogan.
And number 11
is the Lancashire Rose, Lisa Ashton. What a draw, folks. There is some absolute belters in there. Just first reactions, boys, while I get the graphic ready.
Sorry. Sorry to any of those players that don't like their draw. Duffy, Painter, Belter, Henderson versus Taylor could be really, really good, because we know John struggles to get through the early rounds, to be honest. We've seen that in Yeovil. Wasn't the most convincing at the Tavern. I think he'll agree with that. That should make for a really, really good one. It is live.
It's very live.
No comment on other organisations. I think Richie beat Trina last time they played.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, I think you're right.
As the new world number one, this will be the first time that we see him in that position. Should be an interesting one for Richie.
I think it's a cracking draw.
Yeah.
It was always going to be. You're always going to, with those players, with that mix as well of seeds and non-seeds. We were always going to get some tasty, exciting matches. But I think there's some crackers amongst them.
Look,
indeed.
All eyes are drawn to Hendo against Taylor, surely.
I'll remember them all once you put the graphic up, because they've all fallen out of my head now. Gotten them all already.
So this is the joy of doing it live. I can make the graphic live as we go.
We should have had someone in the background doing this, because now when we clip this.
Parton Thornton's a really nice match. I like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Making a lot of noise.
I'm going to have to come down and watch it now, aren't I?
Yeah, you've done the draw. You've got to come be there.
Yeah, I can't do the draw and not come and watch.
No, honorary residency.
I'll bring Billy down.
Of course.
Right, and as if by magic.
There we go.
The draw, everyone.
Well done. Well done. Now we can talk properly about it.
I
really like that.
I've even done it in draw bracket order as well. Howson against Gulliver, Duff against Mason. What a draw that is.
Yeah, we're going to get some phone calls from Chris in a bit, I think.
Mind you, Mace, now you know how it feels when you do the UK Open one.
Yes.
Just look at those ties.
I think
Painter Cameron's the interesting one. If Painter is on the level that we've seen from him in previous TV events, that'll be a real great battle. Obviously, we know he's struggling a little bit at the minute. That might open the door for Cameron to go on another run. Obviously, he's lost the points from his ranking now from that Masters win 2 years ago. So he's currently chasing again to get himself back to the Tavern and beyond. So that can make for a really interesting battle in that one. Hogan Ashton, didn't Lisa beat him in York last year?
Oh,
they have played, yes.
I think that's the rematch. I remember doing that interview.
Let's bring us back into vision. We put the draw back up in a second if needed. But look, surely that is going to be a white-hot atmosphere at the Barbican in York.
Yeah, some great games there. Friday as well, isn't it? First day. Yeah. Those games, Friday.
For those that are asking when it is, I can deliver that information. There we are. The 4th and 5th of October from the Barbican in York. The website is there, yorkbarbican.co.uk for tickets.
Yeah, it's a lovely venue.
Oh, incredible venue. Look, York's an amazing city, so plenty to be doing as well. But can the world number one be stopped? Obviously, Richie Howson over the line in Blackpool at Champion of Champions. He'll be looking to go and do a number as well.
Well, I mean, he's definitely got the ability. I think the bracket isn't really... The bracket isn't particularly generous to him either. But then I look and think, well, where would it be better? And it's a bit tight everywhere, isn't it? It's a bit tight all over.
TV details will be released in due course. We were asked to do the draw, and we have smashed it out of the park and given some absolute bouters. Richie, great bracket.
I mean, it is for fans. Like, it's everything I want to see.
For fans, it's drama all over the place.
Yeah, it's class.
I'm not sure Phil will thank us for the draw.
No, probably not.
John Henderson in the opening round.
Sorry about that.
We'll put it back on screen as well so people can. That is the draw bracket as well. So the winner of Richie House and Trina Gulliver will play Neil Duff or Chris Mason. John Henderson, Phil Taylor to play the winner of Kevin Payne and David Cameron. Then Robert Thornton, John Park, the winner to play Martin Adams or Matt Clark. Leonard Gates, James Richardson to play the winner of Paul Hogan, Lisa Ashton. This is tough to call.
It is, but there's already some, like, you can already sort of dream pick matches we're going to see later in the weekend, and there's some really, really good potential. I mean, it's a lovely draw, but there's some very, very nice potential second round matches there as well, isn't there?
Yeah. That's the thing. It's okay if you win your first one, then you're in about a second one.
Oh yeah, there's not a lot of particularly rewarding to draw for winning there, is there? You're going to win, and you're probably going to bump into somebody else who's very, very, very good and has just won as well.
Hi, Chris. Welcome back to the seniors.
Yeah, sorry.
Hi, mates. Welcome along, mate. Right, this is the first time the draw's been done, so the bookies won't have priced this up yet. But after the draw, who would you have as favourite?
For that one more time. Can we not put it? Hang on. Let's do it so they can see both of us. Can we not put it as?
I would say the favourite I would probably make. It'd have to be. I think you'd have to say Richie Housen as the favourite. Potentially followed by Hendo.
So I think each quarter has got danger written all over it.
But I think, because I'd have had David Cameron. You'd have to price Henderson slightly higher because he's in the same quarter as David Cameron, who I would probably have somewhere around the top 4 or 5 if I was to price it. I think Richie Housen would justifiably be the favourite for the bookies.
I am going to go Canadian. I'm really big on David Cameron's game right now.
I thought you were going to go with the other Canadian then.
No. Sorry. Not to be that dismissive of John Park, but
you started off Canadian. I thought,
no. Before we get abused on Facebook by saying John Park's not going to win it. David Cameron for me. Like I said, he just looks so good, so comfortable. Has won a seniors TV event before. Is obviously chasing that again. Kev is a battler and a very, very difficult person to play against. Winning vaults, etc. But he is known to be struggling a little bit at the moment. And because of that, I make David favourite. And once he gets on a roll, I think that there's pressure there on John Henderson just to get past Phil Taylor,
It's a very challenging, that half of the draw. Like, Neil Duff is a hell of a player.
Mm-hmm.
And is going to give anybody at all, any one of those 6 or the other 15 players, he gives trouble to. And I think in that half, with, I suppose, the 4 players that I think are the most dangerous in this tournament are in the same half, in Housen, Cameron, Henderson and Duff. So I think that's brutal, that half. And none of them have a game that's a walkover either.
Yeah, I know you said about Henderson getting past Phil, but I think John would prefer to play Phil than some of the others because it's the name. In his head, he knows he has to be ready. Okay, we know Phil hasn't played to the level that he has in the past, but it's still the name. That name still carries fear for players.
Yeah, it does. It's the pomp and circumstance as well around playing him on a stage, on the TV, and cameras around as well. It's a good tactic, Neil. I like that.
I'll tell you what, I'd say that there might be some content from Pop World on Thursday night by the sounds of it.
No, Neil. I learned my lesson in Blackpool. And that was only walkabout. That was only walkabout. We didn't even get into Pop World that night.
I'm pleased to say I didn't learn my lesson from previous Blackpools and made all the same mistakes again this year.
But one more time, York is the destination, the Barbican for the Seniors Matchplay. Tickets are available, yorkbarbican.co.uk for all your tickets. Look, this is going to be incredible value, some unbelievable games. So make sure you get down there to see it. And you never know, Dan will be there handing out signed pictures as well for you.
I will be down there, yeah. Please, I'll probably have a small child with me, so if you want to hurl abuse at me, please at least try and keep it out of his earshot. But yes, I'll be there. Looking forward to it.
But thank you, everyone. That is the draw for the seniors, and I can't wait for this now. It's all a bit real, isn't it? Connor, yeah, I'll be there and going straight to the Grand Prix afterwards. Don't worry about that. So that is all done and dusted. Let's move on to a young man that we spoke about earlier in Thomas Banks. Won his week at the Super Series, booked his place in Champions Week, flying on the ADC and the Dev Tour. Comparisons will be made with another 17-year-old in Mr. Littler. But we asked him about that at the weekend, and he's ready for the comparisons. Have we got another special talent on our hands, gents?
Well, again, let's hope so, because, I mean, how good would that be? He is a hell of a player, though, isn't he? And lovely to watch.
Oh, beautiful to watch.
Gorgeous action. Really, really nice to watch. Very exciting, though. And if he continues to tear things up, the thing is as well is he might, and he won't. I mean, it may happen for him, but I think there will be, because we will get like people fire warning signs of the next potential, and we'll keep hearing about who the next Luke Littler is going to be. And Luke's probably done them all quite a good service, really, in that there will be far more companies, manufacturers, companies looking to sponsorship that will take a chance on some of these kids that might not have got particularly good opportunities if Luke hadn't paved the way a little bit for them coming through, because there will be people that will be prepared to roll the dice, and because you might, and to see if they've got another wonder kid on their hands, and you might find, and there'll be others that come through as well at a young age, where because of what's happened with Luke, there might just be those extra opportunities where people are willing, where they might not have took the risk before on, putting some investment and lumping some money behind a kid that may or may not become a success. But people have seen now, not only that it can happen, but B, how commercially viable it is when it does happen. So I think there'll be more opportunities than ever before. He's a super talent, though. So I hope it does for him.
I like that he's level-headed as well. Yes, he knows when to get the crowd involved, but listening to him, the number of times he was interviewed and everything at the Super Series, he always gave balanced answers. He never let his mouth run away with himself. Like you can for the first time when you're being interviewed all the time, you could say silly things, but he was very level-headed throughout, and that's a trait to have as a youngster.
It is, and it shows me, I don't know, but it shows me that he must be quite well looked after in terms of the people that he's got around him, because that it's very rare that would naturally be something that somebody of that age knows to do and is conscious of making decisions to do that. So it sounds and seems as if he's got good people around him who are guiding him quite well and making, because to react like that, it isn't particularly natural, and people it's very easy to get carried away and a bit giddy, and he's clearly got, or people have put a plan in place around him that's working at the moment. So hopefully it continues.
I mean, I had the best view in the house all week, didn't I? I'm fortunate enough to have been refereeing. Like I said, a super talent. He's super humble on stage. Really, really polite. Obviously, I spent some time with him and the rest of the group afterwards as well. We went to the establishment next door, and obviously, like, socially interactive, really, really good. But he's constantly taking things in. I know that he spends a lot of time practicing in Hertfordshire, which has got a little hotbed of players, including Steve West, who is one of the most experienced players you could possibly be taking advice from. Thomas speaks really highly of the relationship that he's got with him. They're practicing together only last week, etc. Like, if you're doing something wrong, Steve's going to tell you. And Thomas is taking that on board and learning from it and developing very, very quickly. Has been through the youth ranks and the systems that are in place now. The JDC, played for that England side as well. And the scary thing is, as good as and as brilliant as that we're talking about Thomas and Luke, they're not the only two out there.
No, that's it.
So many bubbling under. Like, you think of the average age of a dart player in their prime should be 30-something. If history is going to tell us anything, it's 30 to 45. You can have a decent career through that spell. These kids are half of that age and are already excelling. And the worry is that they drop off a little bit too soon before the age of 30, etc. We saw Van Gogh insist he was going to retire by the time he's 30 a long, long time ago. That hasn't quite happened. But as long as we can keep that, we'll be in gymnastics territory where you've got 17-year-olds vaulting because they're the only ones, the bodies who can live up to it. Like, it's mad how ready and able these kids are that just have no fear, are by far the best counters I've ever come across. Like, the maths and the way that they fly around the board and the way that they're setting things up. Who was it earlier in the week? 360 something, and they're checking that they can hit an 18 to leave 3-4-4 instead of 3-4-3 or 3-4-5. They're so in tune with it because they know that goes in 6.
What do you put that down to, though? Like, why is it happening where people are becoming better at that part of darts? Do you think they're just learning?
Part of it is learning from an early age, and it's patterns. It's not even necessarily maths. It's where do you get from here? You see that actually sometimes they will struggle if the first dart doesn't go in the intended target at all. So they'll be prepared what happens if you hit a treble and what happens if you hit a single, but they're not prepared what happens if you hit the treble next to it.
Yeah.
Say you're going for a treble 18, instead of hitting 18, you hit a treble 4. That catches them off guard a little bit. They might need that little bit of just, yeah, right, this is where I am sort of thing, go again. But I cannot praise them enough whilst also criticising some of the old guard. I just find it a lack of professionalism. We've sat here and laughed about the likes of Jose de Souza over the last couple of years and his inability to count. And we say, oh, ferret maths with Johnny Clay. Phil Taylor couldn't count either, but he got away with it. And at the top level, the difference between laying up to leave 3-4-4 and laying up to leave 3-4-6, when these kids have the talent to go 180, 164, is massive, because they're always looking to leave that opportunistic shot. Because whilst it might not go every time, it's going to go at least once, and it's going to hurt you.
Yeah. Look, I completely agree. But as Matador says, could it be too much? Not for Thomas, but in general. But there are a lot of players being signed up to manufacturers at an early age. A bit like football and footballers that we say, is it too much too soon? Are we in a bit of a boom here where younger players also have to be very careful?
Not just the younger players, the manufacturers. I've been quite critical in the past, and I still am, about the sheer volume of players that manufacturers are taking on without any extra sort of guidance. It feels like, look, some of them have got really good practices in place. Some of them, I think, are people dependent on who's head of their youth program and what they want from it, etc. But look, we've seen the damage things like football academies can do to kids that get released when all of a sudden that next step in the pyramid comes up and you have to shaft an awful lot of people that have been doing it for a long, long time. The hope is that when we start to see, because we've never had this in darts before, we've never had a production line of youth players backed by manufacturers and sponsors and being in that environment for as long as we have. And it's the hope that the pressure doesn't see an early end of those careers, or too much too soon, as we've said. there are concerns for me with that bit, massively.
I just think it's important. It can happen, of course, it can happen, and we've seen people have too much too soon and act a dick. But I just think it's important that they're looked after well, and I think the vast majority of them are. I just think it's really important that good people, for the right reasons, are guiding and advising and steering these young people towards the correct decisions and behaviours and routes through the sport. The sport in general will benefit from it as much as the players will, but I think it's really important that just the right people are steering the ship, because it's very, very easy for small mistakes to completely ruin lots and lots and lots of good work.
I know not every... This is the issue where darts hasn't got an overriding governing body, like in football, where there are rules and laws that all academies have to abide by, and that isn't there in darts. But almost should there be, that there is a basic fundamentals that youngsters have to be protected by?
I mean, there should, but I think you would be pissing into the wind to try and implement something because of the way the sport is structured. It would be incredibly challenging, but it could only do good, couldn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know where you'd even start trying to implement it. And then, see, the thing is as well is when you implement something like that, you then have to have a measure of actually finding out if it's working or not. And is it, you know, you can write all the rules and you know, you can write all the rules in the world, but if you're not then going to check that people are following them, and if they're not following them, how do you know? And then what do you do about it? And what's the consequence of it? Then you might as well not have bothered in the first place. So it's not, you know, it's not just writing something down on a piece of paper and calling it the policy. It's then how you then, you know, close that circle of making sure it's actually doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, look, going back to Thomas as well, that he's got a little bit of Jockey Wilson about him with his throw, which I quite like. Look, comparisons we made on comms that last start could be a little bit jockey at times. But look, it's a big year for him now because he's got Champions Week to look forward to. He's got the World Youth on the horizon. It's a busy time for him.
And look, he's qualified for it, I think. And I think what is key there is to consider what he's done so far this year as an achievement, regardless of what happens from here on out.
100%.
Not to say completely write off the rest of the year, but if you'd offered him in December last year, ADC position where he is, Champions Week at a Super Series, qualified for a UK Open just as he turns 16 or whatever it was, not too far off Luke qualifying as well. If you'd offered him all of that at the start of the year, there is absolutely no doubt he would have snapped your hand off for it. And whilst you don't want to just go, right, the rest of the year, I don't care, I'm not bothered, blah, blah, you want to achieve. If it doesn't go his way for the rest of the year, learn from it, use it as a building block, and don't be too disheartened because he's got the talent, clearly. But we almost now need to see how he bounces back from a little bit of a dip. Already, as harsh as that is, that's the same way that we judge Luke, isn't it? It was like, right, he's gone back to back on this day. By the way, 2 years ago, last year, Luke went back to back.
I want to touch on what you said there about not judging him and going off. It's a success. This isn't just Thomas. This is just in general. Do young players almost run before they can walk now, and do they all think they're MVG, Gary Anderson, without serving the apprenticeship properly at times?
Some of them get bitten in the backside just as quickly.
I was about to say some of them do, but it doesn't always work out, does it? It doesn't always go to plan. I think that it all depends on the person as well, doesn't it? There's a real mix of character. You know, in that if you were to say, right, if you were to rattle off the 20 best players under 20. There's a real mix of personalities within there that you can sort of almost predict going in different directions in terms of what they will do off the hockey. Any one of them on the hockey has the potential to become something absolutely superb, but you can almost see where the potential banana skins are for some of the. You can look at that top 20 under 20. We should do that. We should list that. That'd be a good feature, wouldn't it? Top 20 under 20. Nobody steal it. I said it first.
If you look at the 4 most high-profile, genuine youth product, as in kids, over the last 10 years, and look at the different paths that they've gone down. Bo Greaves, served an apprentice, isn't committed to taking a step up yet, doesn't believe that she can go and compete at Ali Pali, etc. Luke Littler's gone atmospheric this year. Thomas Banks is on the cusp. But Justin Van Tegel will serve as a warning.
Yeah.
Because he was the next Van Gerwen. He was the next one to step it up. Did brilliant things in that BDO system at Lakeside. The jump up to the Dev Tour didn't go to plan. And now I'm not even sure he's playing on it. And
he's on the tour, is he?
Yeah. Leighton Bennett's the other one who was doing exhibitions with Phil Taylor at the Tower of London at the age of 13, who now has a considerable amount of disciplinary cases to answer for this year to the DRA. All right, is on the Pro Tour. But
hang on. Did you just suggest that anyone would get round to those cases this year?
Maybe.
We didn't say that.
It would have been heard 6 months ago, just not reported on.
That's ambitious.
But you get the point. Like, they've all had varying different careers at that point. Van Tegel, Bennett, Littler, the 3 that if you compare very similar timelines and ages.
Well, not just them. I'm going to go through the winners of the PDC World Youth Championship because that's kind of the one that all the youth look at now, and that's the one they all want to win because of what comes with it as well. Obviously, Josh Rock, no worries there at the moment. Ted Everts.
Been over the last 18 months, hasn't there? There was issues with management very early on in his career that he had to learn from and various other things. And the impact of rocking up as World Youth Champion, telling everyone he's going to go and win the World Championship. Following year at the World Youth, dumped out pretty early. Lots of people watching, lots of pressure. Don't get me wrong, he's having an excellent career. He's picked up a Euro Tour and a Pro Tour this year, but it's not all been swimming from him to say no issues.
Then 2021 and 2020, Ted Everts and Bradley Brooks, both players now not on tour. Again, we've got a couple of special ones that have done all right for themselves. Luke Humphreys and Dimitri Vandenberg, both
decent.
Both 23 when they won it, by the way.
I was about to say they were grown men when they won it. The pair of them.
We're comparing 17-year-olds to 23-year-olds that were doing it for 5 years.
When
entered their youth career.
When they had,
where are they now though? Corey Cadby, we all know where he is.
One phone call a day.
No, it's not. It's a Zoom call now. It's not even a proper phone call. Max Hopp, not on tour.
No.
Keegan Brown on tour. Michael Smith done all right for himself. James Hubbard doesn't even play. Look, and the first one, I love him to bits, but an absolute liability to himself in Aaron Monk.
Hubbard did threaten a comeback the other day, by the way.
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
I think that's the second time in 18 months, but he did threaten a comeback.
What do you mean a comeback? He's on tour, isn't he?
Hubbard.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant Monk.
No, yeah.
Aaron Monk is still the answer to what's the best thing you've ever seen on Twitter. What happened? Aaron Monk happened.
That's one of the best tweets I've ever. Yeah.
WDF Boyd's a good comparison, though, because if you look at, was it Keenberry? Jordan Boyce has been to that final. Van Tegel's been to that final. Josh Richardson was a boys champion.
Trying to find the wiki page.
Well, you're a better man than I if you find it, because I can't. That's what I was kicking around at then.
No, maybe not. But yeah, no. But yeah, I agree. There's been some like Bradley Roos has come through that system as well.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. But back to Thomas Banks, I think there is a special talent there to be unearthed properly, and it's good to see as well.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. Whilst we'll stay on the same sort of subject with the Super Series, Simon Adams is officially, forget darts, the nicest man in the world.
Easily.
And I won't have anything said otherwise.
Just a legend. Somebody put on social media last week, and he put a lot on social media last week, will stick with me for a long, long time. And it was like, absolutely loving this week, learning so much, etc. But he just goes, how can you beat a man that's already winning just by being here?
Yeah.
What a lovely approach to life, eh?
Yeah.
Just one of the nicest men ever.
He genuinely isn't interested if he wins or loses up on that stage. He rocks out, plays a game of darts, loves what he does, but he'll go back in that room, and if you've lost to him or whatever, he just wants you and everybody in that room to play the best at darts they possibly can. Genuinely, that's not some sort of act or anything like that. He genuinely says to me on stage a couple times, I just want everybody to play as well as they can.
Yeah.
You're competing for $3,000 and a 25 grand potential later down the line, and I just want everyone else to play as well as they can. It's magnificent.
Good on him.
Yeah, 100%. But with the Super Series, Champions Week is looking a bit tasty. We know 3 of the players that are guaranteed to be in Group A for Champions Week. They are Neil Duff, Connor Scott, and Thomas Banks.
No, thank you. Like that.
A spot.
Brutal. Already brutal.
Yeah. Look, we all know that Neil wants a Group A because it takes him a few days to warm up. He's getting old, bless him. But Champions Week is going to be good. It cannot disappoint, that's for sure. If you want to go, dartshop.tv, tickets are already flying out the door for Champions Week, so book now or you will be disappointed.
There is an interesting point to make on that lineup, and nobody's really made it publicly yet. Is there are a lot of very, very good young up-and-coming players in that lineup. And there are a number of very experienced over 50s seniors players. There is absolutely nobody in that lineup between the age of 32 and 50.
That's very odd, isn't it?
Very odd when you consider the prime age of the players, and you look at players who have been there and done it before, in Scott Taylor, Conan Whitehead's playing this week, Daryl Pilgrim, etc. Players that have experienced players that know how to get things done, that you look at things like Pro Tour and Challenge Tour, etc., that are dominated by people in this range. The absence of any of them winning a week so far in this series is quite strange.
It's very odd, that.
Yeah.
And even like the Saturday night just gone, the only one that could have possibly undone that would have been Stefan Hendrick if he'd got through Group B on Friday night. As early as Saturday, it was all young players under the age of 30 or over the age of 50 seniors. I think Jimmy Van Schie, someone like 31 or 32, but the fact he's stepped away for so long and then come back, I think I'd class him in that category because of what he did at youth. But other than that, like, it just doesn't exist. It's mad. It's such a weird divide.
It's the only sphere in the entire planet that's unrepresented in the field of middle-aged men. Middle-aged men like me are vastly unrepresented. It's terrible. It's an outrage.
In a sport where the majority of participants are middle-aged men.
And middle-aged men, yeah, that's it. Like, it's a sport designed for middle-aged men like me.
Yeah, it was interesting, but Champions Week will be good. Dartshop.tv tickets are already flying out the door. Good evening, Niall. Hope you are good, buddy. Right, let's look at the Pro Tour. And it was an interesting 3 days of action. We had a bit of everything. more new winners, people coming through the field. First of all, I want to talk about, he didn't win one, but right now, there is an argument. Cameron Menzies is one of the best players in the world right now.
Yeah, and I was going to say...
He's ranked, 42 in the world, somewhere around there. But right now, just this year, there's an argument. He is one of the best players in the world.
He's playing some superb darts. And he's trying, as well as playing well on the Players' Championship event, he's qualified as well for... Was it one or both the Euro 2 was he qualified for? Just one, wasn't it? Qualified for Euro Tour event 12. But that gets him back, that's more ranking money, isn't it? So that's another lump of money onto his ranking. Yeah, he's playing some absolutely brilliant stuff. We know he's got the game. We know he's capable of it. It's just finding it consistently, isn't it? Being able to keep doing it.
Yeah, form-wise, he's certainly right up there, especially on the floor. I'm a bit hesitant to call him one of the best in the world if you're not winning titles. You can make that argument sometimes, but I think that extra, if you're going to back him to do something, I want the experience of having got over the line.
He's 34th on the year-to-date and 30th on the Pro Tour. So he's still away from establishing himself, over the course of the year, but he's definitely having a spell that if he can sustain it and keep it going, he'll make strides really quickly up those 2 order of merits.
Yeah, 100%. Right, let's go into Players' Championship 15. Luke Littler broke the trend. The first player to win 2 Pro Tours this year. He broke the curse. Look, not really surprised. Luke Littler winning darts matches. The boy is incredible. But Wessel Nyman getting to his first senior final after dominating the Dev Tour the weekend before. Are we seeing the rise of another Dutch darting potential star?
Potentially. Again, his A game is there. It's just whether or not he can find it with as much consistency as he needs. He's run into Luke Littler playing an absolute ball. I think in the entire day, I think Luke's worst average was 96, and it was only twice he didn't average over 100. He played absolutely superb all day. But Wessel Nyman looked, for large parts of the day, unstoppable. It's just the question will be, can he continue it? Can he keep? Can he come back for another set of Players' Championship events and have a run in at least one? We shall see.
Yeah,
he certainly has the game though.
Look, 100% played some incredible stuff. Stefan Belmont played some beautiful stuff, getting to a quarter-final, topping up from the Challenge Tour as well. Chris Dobie getting to a quarter-final. Mike De Decker, spoiler alert, there were signs at that moment in time that the real deal was just starting to make a move again. And that's exactly what he did. Players' Championship 16. Went on and beat Ricky Evans in the final. First of all, we'll do the congratulations to Mike De Decker, averaging nearly 105 in the final. Simply superb.
Yeah, it was a monstrous performance, wasn't it? Like you say, he'd had a good day the day before. When he got beat by Chris Dobie in that quarterfinals the day before, Dobie averaged over 105. So he didn't have a stinker, De Decker. He just got beat. He bumped into Chris Dobie playing at his very best. But yeah, great, really, really top quality stuff. Played superb in the final. 2 back to back, really strong days for De Decker. Again, a player whose A game is right up there. Just needs to try and find it more often.
I felt for Ricky as well. Look, we all know he's yet to get over the line in the final. He's played well in this final as well. He's averaged 94, not done a lot wrong, and run into one. Look, a real maturity from Ricky Evans' game in this tournament as well. Good to see, and surely it happens for him in the end.
you'd like to hope so. Look, not everybody can be a winner and whatever else, but I think Ricky's demonstrated that he has that level. He's changing things up. It certainly feels like that a little bit from the outside. He is a fantastic dart player. He's just got to show that he's a top 32, top 24 talent that little bit more often for me. Don't get me wrong, he's been done in by a few draws this year. Again, first rounded by a number of players. But again, it's about getting through a couple of those and then changing your seeding, changing your position, getting into those spots so it stops happening. At some point, you've got to break that duck. You can't just sit there and blame draws all the time, because at that point, you aren't good enough anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that last line, but that came across a bit harsher. But you get what I'm saying. Like, at some point, you have to get over that to get yourself in a position where you can continue to show off just how good you are.
Yeah, no, don't disagree. Oh, he's in the chat room as well. Rapid Ricky, how we doing, buddy? Hope you are good. Anthony is in from Wollongong as well. Yeah, I agree about Westall. Honestly, Ricky played some brilliant stuff there, mate. It was good to see Sedlacek also getting to a semi-final. Luke Humphreys, no real surprise there. Connor Scott replicating his good form. Currently without a tour card. He is going to Minehead as well. Been a good week for the sniper. And again, it goes into the question that is forever asked, the best players that don't have a tour card. He is certainly in that conversation right now. Just good stuff.
He's definitely up there, isn't he? Like, and you fancied him to do a bit, because you always fancy him to do a bit at the minute. Whenever Connor Scott plays, regardless of who he's playing, whether he's playing, non-PDC events or whether he's playing the very best players in the world, you still fancy him to do a bit. You still look at him meeting someone in the top 32 and thinking, hey, he could beat him. And he does, and he keeps showing us that he can. So yeah, I think it wouldn't surprise me at all to see Connor Scott back on tour. I don't think it would surprise many people to see Connor Scott back on tour.
Firm favourite for, Thomas Banks was very, very impressive last night, and regardless, but strong favourite for Champions Week, just given that he can flick that switch at any point. Fortunate enough to have refereed his game of the week where he's averaged 123 without hitting a 180. How on earth does somebody do that? It's staggering. And like, when we sat here in January talking about the players that had lost their cards, we tried to map out what Connor was going to do for the year, and he's done exactly that. He's played in everything that he can.
He's kept himself very busy and played very, very well whilst doing so, hasn't he? He's been very active, but has managed to sustain a really high level of darts.
Back to the Super Series. Won his week in this series. Finally got over that now back in Portsmouth, because obviously a lot of his success previously was down in Southampton. He's gone to WDF events and won the gold or platinum event that gets him straight into Lakeside, so he's not chasing too much of that. He's played on the Challenge Tour. He's still got his chips in the pot for that one, so he might end up at Ali Pali as well, but he's got Lakeside to fall back on now as a minimum. It would not surprise me to see him attempt to qualify for the ADC Global Championship through one of the many qualifying options there are, for one in each of the regions, or northeast, southwest of the UK, and etc.
Why not? Yeah, why not?
And he's got a crack at that as well, which times up pretty nicely with the next series of the Super Series as well. So we could have a really, really busy few weeks in that. If you go Series 9 and make Champions Week again, you put yourself in the Global Championship, you have a crack at Ali Pali a few weeks later, or Lakeside to fall back on. And then I guess the only difficulty with Connor is right now is that 95% of the darting world are expecting Connor to go straight back on tour next year.
Yeah.
That's not the easiest thing to guarantee through Q School, no matter how good you are.
No. But
so if he can do it another way, he's even better off.
Yeah, well, without a shadow of a doubt. But he's also, I suppose, proven that if he doesn't come through Q School next year, not the end of the world, is it? Because he's still had a very, very good year. He's had a far better year than plenty of players who do have a tour card. he's certainly financially had a better year than quite a few players that have a tour card. So yeah, I think he's almost proven that it's not the end of the world, and hopefully that means that there won't be, he can go into it without too much pressure on him to perform, because Q-School's a horrid format at the very best of times, no matter how good you are.
Moving on to the final Pro Tour of this block. Again, we'll do the winner first of all. Josh Rock winning his 3rd ranking title. Congratulations to Rocky. Again, playing some beautiful stuff. That 170 in the final was incredible, and he's showing his class again.
Very, very good. When he gets on a roll, he is so difficult to stop, Josh. Like, I tweeted the other week that he makes me tired just watching him, because he uses up so much energy with the way that he just struts around. But look, it works for him, and he's getting results. And we've compared his last couple of years, haven't we, where we've gone, first year he's made a really big impact, gone and won that World Youth, was giving it a lot of talk about World Championships and such. Second year, everyone's going, well, what's he doing, sort of thing. But actually, he was consolidating really nicely on the floor, picking up plenty of ranking money, not smashing, not winning tournaments, but doing enough to keep building that ranking nicely and having a base to stick up for. And look, when he gets to that point in 2 years' time, he's not going to suddenly lose a massive whack, is he? That's just going to be consistent, keep chipping away, keep replacing it. It's a pretty nice place to be there as an accumulator, rather than, right, I'll take a UK Open title here and I'll take a Grand Slam here, which means I've got to defend 2 massive chunks, and one bad game puts pave to that. Yeah, played really, really nicely. Good final. Good win.
I think one of the big stories from that event has got to be Joe Cullen making a final. Because other than that one match in Blackpool against Brendan Dolan, I can't remember the last time he won a darts match. I think at one point he hadn't won a darts match since May, had he? That run is huge, because not only has he won a darts match, but he's won several of them on the same day and played well in doing so. He didn't just beat someone who didn't turn up. He played some really good darts, Joe, throughout the day. And by God, was that due. That's the 7-2 when he averaged 102 against Florian Hempel in the semi-final. Like, that's, I mean, everybody who's ever watched darts knows Joe Cullen has got that. We know he can do that, but that Joe Cullen has been missing for quite some time. So it was very, very refreshing. I think he'd be very relieved to have been able to do it. But for me, probably the biggest story that came out of the 3 events was Joe Cullen making that final.
Well, yeah. Also, Florian Hempel had a great week as well. A man that is flattered to deceive. Again, another one that there is an unbelievable A game in there, but a run from nowhere at last year's World Championship saved his tour card. Started off the year poorly, but has then sprung to life yet again. And there's a lot. I like Florian Hempel. There's something about him that I think there's something there. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. He's got the potential, but again, we see it in bursts, don't we? But I think when he's on, he's a lovely watch as well. When he's on, he's great. But we need to see more of it. We don't see enough of that game.
Oh, I agree. We don't see enough of it, but when it is on, and we saw it, big moments of the World Championship, there was some huge finishes under pressure.
It was great.
That you just think there's something there, something that I really like, and he's watchable.
He's very watchable.
And I look at the other 3 Germans that are up there, all very good players, not necessarily watchable.
Not near as watchable. I completely agree. Not as watchable as he is, and he does seem to like the big event. He doesn't. That's what he seems to get up for and motivated for. But if he can't put consistent floor performances in regularly, then we won't see him at all these big events where he comes and performs well on the big stage. So yeah, he just needs to consolidate and almost do the professional bit of keep turning up and winning, picking up money on pro tours, make sure he's going to Minehead, make sure he's going to giving himself all those opportunities to be on the bigger stage where he seems to be very much at home.
Another story from the complete 4 days was Dirk van Dijvenbode. Solid performances in the 3 Pro Tours. And then he qualified for both Euro Tours. First time he'd not been seeded and had to go to the qualifiers because of the injury nightmare he's been through. But
he got there though, didn't he? Both of them.
Genius is just showing signs that he's ready to explode again. The ton averages were back. Okay, not consistently, but they were there or thereabouts. Qualified for both Euro Tours. All of a sudden, is Dirk potentially going to be a spoiler heading into the back end of 2024?
Certainly hope so. Dirk van Dijvenbode in full flow is one of the most watchable players in the sport.
Well, until he got injured.
He hits 180s. He misses bags, shed loads of doubles at times. He gets in his own head. He's very animated. His walk-on rubs people up the wrong way, but it's got something to it. He's a brand as well as a dart player. He's, like I said, he's so watchable. He plays the game at a lovely pace. Like, I don't get what more you could want from a player on the hockey.
Look, until he got injured, he was in Premier League conversations. That there's no doubt. The injury couldn't have happened at a worse time for him. But it looks as if he is on the resurgence again, which is great news.
He's a long way from it now, though, isn't he, Phil? Do you think?
Yeah.
I think he'd have to do something monstrous because I just think there's so much talent in that top end at the minute that he was there or thereabouts. He was in the position to be talked about, but now you've maybe got another 4 or 5 games that are in the position to be talked about, and he's going to have to do something big in the next 6 months to put himself back in that conversation. Is he certainly for next year?
Yeah, I fully agree. But he's a different option, is what I'm saying. But look, do I think he makes it next year? No, I think he's going to have to again just rebuild. But super stuff. Also, Warren says it there as well. Are we seeing the end of Simon Whitlock? Because at the moment, he is a million miles away from the World Championships. I think his tour card's just about safe this year, but certainly next year, are we looking at potentially the end of the wizard?
Certainly looks it. Look, let's not forget he is over the age of 50. It's not easy to keep playing at such a high level, especially as the tour continues to grow and become more demanding. And you think about how long that Simon's done it all for, Euro Tours, Pro Tours, etc. Yeah, it's tough to see. He's still, on his day, one of the best players to watch. He hits bags 180s. You think back to those records he broke against Van Gogh in the last couple of years. I genuinely think at the moment, if you offered Simon not the easy life, because we've established how difficult the amateur game is, but if you offered Simon, who lives in Portsmouth, a shot at every series of the Modus Super Series next year, and a chance to play on the seniors and whatever else, he would have taken it had Mason not been on the cusp.
He won't lose his tour card this year, but he's only earned 10 grand this year. So he's going to have to perform quite literal wizardry next year if he's going to keep it. He'll probably keep it this year, more than likely keep it this year without too much running to the wire. But he's only earned 10 grand, so he's going to have nothing on that ranking going into like next year. He's going to have to do something massive if he's going to keep it.
Yeah, 100%. But it sets up the back end of the year. Obviously, the travelling circus heads to Wollongong. We've seen, obviously, Anthony is down there with Luke and the rest of the family. Friday and Saturday, the first World Series event. guessing we probably won't have the draw till Thursday. So we don't know who's going to play who. But is this one of the first World Series events where I don't sense much excitement in terms of shocks? Like the other ones we've spoken about, there could be an upset there, he's playing well. Doesn't seem to be the same buzz around these ones at the moment.
Sort of feels like that for the entire year, doesn't it?
We've also seen a lot of these matches already a lot of times. And it is challenging to get, because as well, and again, just being very honest, there are a time that's a pain in the ass to watch, whether, even if it's televised live. So for me, it's hard to get excited about because I think, well, it's games I've seen loads of times in the last few months at a time that's inconvenient, to say the least, on the other side of the world. So it does pass me by a little bit, but their purpose isn't for me, are they? They're not put on for the likes of me. They serve a different purpose. And I'm sure, if you don't get to watch live darts very often, you only get one opportunity per year, then seeing the players that are on and the games that are on there is I'm sure very exciting, and I'm sure people are really looking forward to it. So there's probably plenty of excitement there, but it is difficult for I think people like myself to motivate and get excited about.
Yeah, look, for me, I'm more excited about the New Zealand event potentially, but for those that the PDC representatives are Luke Humphreys, Michael Smith, Gavin Price, Rob Cross, Peter Wright, Luke Littler, Dimitri Vandenberg, Damon Hetta. They will play Simon Whitlock, Hopai Puhal, Brenton Lloyd, Rob Modra, Stuart Colburn, Joe Camillo, John Hurling, and Jeremy Fagg is what we're going to see in Wollongong.
And it is live. So they've managed to find the most inconveniently timed one to show live on TV. Mint.
Is it live on ITV4?
It's live on ITVX.
So in fair though, all the World Series have been on live on ITVX, in fairness.
Have they? Well, that's probably of my interest, isn't it?
Yeah, all the World, even New York and everything like that, all the World Series events were live on ITVX.
Oh, right, good on them. Good on them.
I'm guessing delayed coverage on
ITV4, yeah.
Yeah. But again, we just know that coming off the back of the World Series events, there's a Euro Tour and a Pro Tour, and the likelihood is all this lot are going to skip.
Well, you would, because it's a bloody long way away, Australia.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not their fault. I fully understand why, because then they'll want to go away on holiday with their family and everything like that. So I fully understand it. But it just, I just need something for me.
Binned.
But it's never going to get binned because of what it brings.
What?
Money.
Yeah. Well.
And then let's be realistic. Let's
It's what it is. That's what
it's wanted to get you say it.
It's not for us, is it?
Upset a few more people.
Look, I'm hoping next year the World Series gets a bit of a freshen up.
I don't think the World Series is being used as the tool it was set up and designed to be, and that annoys me.
Well, it isn't, is it? Because
it's no longer about going to emerging places and showcasing the big guys. It's right, who's going to pay us to put an event on your telly?
Yeah, but I just think you have to make your peace with the fact that that's what it is. It's like people that moan about the Premier League. It just is what it is, isn't it? It's a massive exhibition. It makes loads of cash.
Yeah, look,
don't fool yourself.
I think one's negatively impacting the other until they change format for the Premier League. genuinely, like, there is a massive knock-on effect. I know I'm going to come across quite negative, and all he's doing is whinging and blah blah. But the Premier League format is such a killjoy for the rest of the season because we've seen these matchups so often. And yes, playing to a winner is brilliant for the fans in the venue, but if it is at the negative impact of every single TV major that follows for the rest of the year, including your World Series to grow the game and whatever else, then you have to do something about it. Not just go, oh, well, TV audiences are up. Luke Littler's playing. That explains a lot. And the fans love it. Well, all right, they might stick around next year longer. But £10 a pint isn't quite attractive.
Certainly is not.
No, I get that, but that's not the PDC's fault. You look at forget darts, every concert, sporting venue around the country, that's the price of what food and drink is in these places now.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they know once you're in there, you've got to, if you want to drink, you can't go anywhere else. So
it also stops people getting too pissed.
Well, you say that, but I'm not convinced after what I saw this year at the Premier League.
It's supposed to be a cost of living crisis in this country. If you can afford to get drunk at the Premier League, then there isn't a cost of living crisis in your house. It's very expensive.
Or a lot of them just get absolutely trolleyed before they go in.
That's half the problem, you know. Is people get absolutely buckled before they can even walk, like before they go to the Premier League, and then one pint sends them bandy.
Yeah, Anthony. Yeah,
sounds awful.
Just the 24 hours travelling, buddy. But yeah, that's the World Series. Someone asked if we're doing media. The honest answer is I don't know. The PDC haven't told us yet, so we don't know what's going to be offered. What else have we missed in a week in darts, boys?
Let's have a look. Did we talk about that? We did. I think have we done everything? Have we covered everything we set out to talk about? I think we have. Yeah. That's good for 20 to 10. And we'd squeeze the draw in.
Nailed it. AD Lewis.
No, we haven't done AD Lewis. That's what we haven't done.
Yeah.
Great. More chance of me to moan.
I know what you're going to say, but I'll let you moan first of all.
AD Lewis back full stop is brilliant in any capacity. Right, the fact that he's signed a deal with management, the fact that he intends to play darts next year, wherever that may be, Super Series, wherever else that he has set his sights on, brilliant. The fact that he's announced this in the middle of the summer, that he's already looking ahead to 2025, has irked me. Because that means he's got no intention of He can go to the qualifier for the World Championships and play at Ali Pali this year if he starts putting the time in now. He can still go to Pro Tours this year if he puts the effort in now. But if you don't have any intention of doing that, and you didn't have any intention of playing at the UK Open, but you were in the fan zone, then that card should have been given up in December.
But is that not... Actually, I slightly disagree. Just because I just think Adrian Lewis has earned the right to sort of do what he wants, because he earned that tour card and it's his. And if he wants to sit on his ass and not go, doesn't have to. But then he shouldn't therefore have to give up the option. If he, I don't know why he's been away from the sport, although I don't know the detail of why he's been away from the sport for so long, but I would imagine that it's probably a good idea to reserve the right, give himself multiple options. So retaining the tour card means he has got the option to come and play somewhere if he chooses to and wants to. Giving that tour card back, it's very final, isn't it? It's done. Whereas I just think, dealing with whatever he's dealing with and setting himself up or his life up the way that he is great. But hanging on to that tour card and knowing that if things change or if he wants to or he fancies it or he's still got that tour card because he earned that opportunity, didn't he? He's got 2 years with that card at any one point. I know he's had it for ages, but he's got 2 years on that card to let it run down, and he still might fancy going to the World Championship qualifier. Something might change.
But if he does, it's a bit like it's a waste for a year, especially at a moment where the PDC removed the card last year for the first time. And I get very different circumstances. One is at Her Majesty's pleasure, and the other one is a 2-time former world champion. But if you're going to be that intent on putting in positions where all your cards are being utilised by tour card holders, not constant top-ups from talent, which, all right, you've got a system in place to add those in. But I feel like if you want the best 128 in the world all the time, that's what you think your system stands for, then you need all 128 tour card holders being utilised fully.
To a point, but when I argued this before they made a rule change, you always were telling me that they've won the tour card, it's their right to do with what they want.
Before they changed the rule, and now they have changed the rule.
But yeah, they've only changed the rule for players that have won their card in the last. It's not for all tour card holders. The rule was only changed for new tour card holders.
Yeah, and ADs is obviously he's had it for years, hasn't he? So he can just let it run down. I have no issue with him having the card. I just think because I think there's an awful lot of reasons, like just in the world, why people might not be going and playing darts, and he doesn't have to. He clearly doesn't financially have to. He's not dependent. He's not living pro tour to pro tour event. So if he needs the time off and wants the time off, but he has earned the right to decide what events he does and doesn't play, and if he wants to come back and play in the qualifier for Ali Pali, then he can. And I think he should be allowed to retain that right to do so, because I think if you don't, you could then end up being pretty harsh on people that could be having some time away from the sport for various different reasons, and you don't want to penalise them for that. Or I wouldn't like to think you do anyway.
Not just penalise them, but if you're going to announce this early in the year, then you've lost all intention to play. Is what I'm getting at. Like, make the announcement.
I understand the frustration.
I had a tough year. Now I'm ready. Don't make that in the summer to make a big deal out of it, but then sit there without using it for a year.
Look, I get it, and I'm not a fan of it, but I just think that it is what it is.
Yeah.
Evening weekly darts cast. Hope you are good. Have any of you hit 170s before? Twice. I have, once in a practice game, once in a proper game.
Yeah.
No.
On me 120 quid.
Yeah. James, I think Corey, well, the official line is he gave it back. Unofficially, he was probably pressured into it.
Told.
Yeah, but the official line was he handed it back. It'll be interesting. But yeah, look, on the plus side, it's great that Adrian is making noises that he wants to come back and play some darts.
AD Lewis coming back is a massive positive in whatever capacity it is.
Of course, yeah. The game of darts is better for having Adrian Lewis in it, undoubtedly.
100%.
So him, just so I think even knowing that we are going to see him playing competitive darts again, because there are people, me myself included, that have questioned that this year. Will we ever see Adrian? Who knows? We may never see Adrian Lewis play competitive darts again. But now we know we're going to, so that's mint.
Yeah. Now I don't know why it was announced now. No idea. To be fair, when you speak to Barney now, he wishes he never handed his back.
That's with hindsight and COVID.
What's that?
That's with hindsight and COVID.
Oh, I get that. But
Barney handed his back when he was in a position of retaining it in the top 64. Lewis will not be in that position unless he suddenly qualifies for the World Championships.
No, I agree. But in December, he was in a position to retain it still, because you've got a whole year's worth of events. Now I agree, and the timing now, but in January, he still had a whole year event, so that was still possible. He was still in the top 64 in January.
Unlikely without defending, though. That is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. This one's been asked a lot. I don't think we've really done it on here a lot, but darts in the Olympics, Sam's asked it. Yes or no?
Yes. Absolutely. 100% yes.
There's another part to his question, but we'll do this one first. For me, absolutely not.
What? Serious?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's not the pinnacle of the sport. The same reason I think tennis shouldn't be in there, golf shouldn't be in there. The Olympics is the pinnacle of their sport. Their sporting events is winning the gold at the Olympics. Cricket, darts,
no, nothing that.
Golf, tennis, winning that gold medal will never be the pinnacle. Ever.
No, I'm not having that, mate. I think it's. I was trying to, without explaining it, like I sound like a bloody poet. It's not about. I think for me, it's not about whether or not that achievement is. So, like tennis, you could say, well, like, is it the pinnacle of the sport? I don't know. You'd have to ask the players, whether they value their gold medals as much as they value winning Wimbledon. Or like financially, it's not as lucrative. But again, it's whether you think, well, the financial prize or reward is what should be. I think what you have to do is think about how much the players who compete in the World Cup enjoy representing their country when playing darts. And I think we see lots of players talk about how good it is representing their country. But I also think it's huge for the sport. When you have an Olympic sport, then that means you get things like lottery funding. So you get lottery funding for youth level development and academies. The government.
I get that part of it.
The government puts tax money and money that normally just gets wasted on shit towards funding Olympic sports. So I think not just for the idea of having somebody on a podium, and not just because I think that it's another Team GB gold medal like in the cupboard.
The other thing as well is Mr. Spellman is in the chat room. Hope you are good, my friend. And this is partly to do with his comment and Chris's as well. The elephant in the room, you could not have dart players, as they currently are, in the Olympic Village doing what they do best.
Yeah, you could. It's no longer a banned substance.
It's not the fact it's banned, it's the fact that, could you imagine, I don't want to name someone here because it looks bad, but we've seen some of the states that players have got in to play big games. You've got athletes that have trained for 4 years, and you'd have some that have trained for 3 hours on some poison to get ready.
I think it's fucking a brilliant idea. I think it's class. No,
It's
but-
just not going to happen.
but
My biggest concern is that it wouldn't be your PDC stars that compete. And therefore, we'd be relying on a GB team that would be organised by, well, not by Tri-Nations, because they can't stand each other.
You say it wouldn't be PDC stars, but I think a deal would be done, the same as it is with the golfers, to get all the top golfers there, the tennis players. Like the Olympic Committee, if they want darts in there, there would be a deal done with the PDC that the very best in the world go there and represent darts and the sports. With the greatest one in the world, the Olympic Committee would not want Bob from Somerset because he's topped the GB.
Yeah, I would also insist on a very, very lycra-based Team GB dart suit. Like what the lads in the bobsleigh wear.
If the Olympic Committee decided, okay, we are going to put darts in, I'm pretty confident a deal with the PDC would be done so the top stars are there. In fact, I'm deadly certain of it.
Yeah.
The same as with golf, footballers. The fact we've got Julio Alvarez at the World Cup, who's just won the World Cup, the Copa America, the Premier League.
The Football Federation picking players in the age category.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they want the best there, and darts would be no different. In terms of sponsorship, selling, because again, that's what the Olympic comes down to as well. It's commercial viability. They would want the best there.
Absolutely.
We know it's not illegal, but it's just a horrific look, isn't it? And right, so you've got the guy that won 100 metres. How did you get ready? Well, I went and warmed up this morning, had some pasta. How did you get ready? Had 10 pints and 40 fags.
But they're not going to admit that, are they? Because they don't admit that when they win a PDC major.
Well,
there isn't Sky with Polly sticking a mic afterwards. Your player might lose and then go speak to their home broadcast, but that'll be about it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's hard. The bigger it gets, the harder it is to hide. Every darts fan knows it goes on. No one's stupid. Yes, it's well hidden for commercial reasons.
Yeah, but then all you do is make sure that Dimmy and Dave Chisnell aren't selected for their national sides.
Dimmy's number one in Belgium.
Dave Chisnell can't communicate at the best of times.
Dimmy's number one in Belgium. Of course he's going to get selected.
Almost like Kim. We know Kim runs the national side anyway.
I had 5 Dimmy specials.
Kim runs the national side anyway. I'll pick who he wants.
Look, it would be funny, but going back to the original point, Sam, again, with the Olympics and Sports Personality of the Year, do we think Littler wins, or do we think it's going to go to an Olympian or Murray potentially?
Healy Hodgkinson just went severe favourite.
I looked since last week, so
she was favourite before she ran the race, and then she's just gone and won gold in the 800 metres. She is number one favourite to win it.
Yeah, this is the thing. In any other year, Luke would probably win it. But
let's not forget there is a young person category as well.
Oh yeah, he might win the young one.
I think he'll definitely win the young person one.
But
Under Armour make suits to accept his award.
What's that?
Do Under Armour make suits for him to accept his reward?
I hope so. That would be incredible.
But yeah, if he's a Target player, I assume Target aren't just going to have him kitted out in a purple suit with all the badges and advertisements on. No one's going to miss that opportunity to get the badge in.
She's got, Adam just said she's gone 2-1 favourite tonight. Yeah, fair. Sure. Anthony's loving it. I spoke to Michael on WhatsApp. Says he's recovering well. Still hopeful of playing the Euro Tour. I think. I don't think the Pro Tour. Well, the Pro Tour might happen, but I think the Euro Tour is a. He might play the Pro Tour to see how he is. But yeah, they're recovering well. Let's open question time up then, Tim. We've pretty much done it anyway. But yeah, so plenty to look forward to as well. Whilst we get some questions in, boys, always busy, which is good. Will there be any plans for darts? I don't know. Look, it's being spoken about, so I'm sure that people are asking the Olympic Committee.
The difficulty is it's hard to bring in an Olympic sport because things have to come in as literally as like a test sport first. But the tradition is, or the way it's generally worked, is the test sports that come in are proposed by the host nation. So you would need to find, ideally you'd need an Olympics in the UK or Holland that, in order for the host nation to warrant proposing it as a sport. Otherwise you end up with break dancing and shit like we've got this year. But that'll be the difficulty in getting it done is it's how they go about the administrative function of introducing a sport.
Yeah. Is Steve West coming back? Steve West played at the ADC at the weekend, building himself up. You will see Steve West again soon, I'm sure of it. Also, he is getting married this weekend, so congratulations to him and Michelle on their wonderful day this coming weekend.
Yes.
What did I think of Littler at the Target Sports Fishing? I haven't seen any of it, but look good. Some big names there, and Target sponsor it. Why would you not have one of, if not your prize asset there, marketing it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Chris, I think Paul Heyman will be on SmackDown this week.
I've got tickets for SmackDown in October, so I hope so.
Grow up.
Nope.
Me and Dan are both on the same page here. Who will be the next first-time winner of a PDC tournament? TV. Let's go TV tournament because the floors, they're all...
Next first-time winner will continue to be... He's 1-1. Damon Hedder.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Joshua Rock.
Serves him with a shout, maybe, but
I'm going Josh Rock. Adam says, Gob has self-qualified for the match play yet?
nobody's qualified for the match play yet. It's miles away. The only one it is Luke Humphries. He's qualified for everything he bloody wants for the next 4 years, and it's only a 2-year ranking system. He's that far ahead.
How long until we see darts on main free-to-air again, BBC, 1, 2, or ITV?
Never!
BBC have got no money, so...
They have. They've got mine and yours.
Yeah, but they waste it on other stuff.
Correct.
Like paying news presenters. I mean...
Yeah.
The ITV4 is all right. I don't see it being on the others just yet. Chris, PDC official partners such as Sports Brace releasing their tickets for the Worlds the other day. PDC needs to stop giving us. I don't think they give them as many as what you think, mate.
No, percentage-wise, I bet it's relatively low.
Yeah, as a percentage, it will be quite small.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're on about, Jamie. Lendl says Nyman for the first time winning. Look, the way he's playing.
Certainly could.
Does Littler need to win another major to satisfy the press? Absolutely not. The boy's 17 years old. He's got to a world final and won the Premier League in his first 6 months of his professional career. Doesn't need to satisfy anyone.
To be fair as well, he could change sports, retrain in figure skating, win an Olympic gold medal, and he still wouldn't have satisfied the press. The press still wouldn't be satisfied. They'll always just witter shit in the background. Shit stories with crap titles that don't make any sense.
Yeah. So, best newcomer, it will obviously be Luke. Well, did Luke win it this year?
What, sports personality of the year?
No, the PDC Awards.
Oh, Christ. Well, yeah. Yeah, he did win it this year, didn't he?
Well, yeah, so you can't win it twice. Right, last couple of questions then, folks, before we hit the road. Thank you again. Thanks everyone for your support on the Pro Tour. Really, really good. Good action as well. I say fingers crossed we'll have something from Australia, but don't know. Haven't heard anything from the PDC as of yet, so don't know. But it's all good, boys. It's all good. It's all setting up for a bumper back end of the year.
Yeah, we're getting into silly season soon, aren't we? It's not far off that, because once we sort of click into that mode, it's pretty constant, isn't it? There's always something either happening or about to happen. It's relentless.
From mid-September, it is non-stop.
We've got about another month of lull, and then it goes bonkers, doesn't it? Which is class.
Well, that's a good point to be made here that Chris says. When are we getting the return, God making a return to Prime? Can we do it Undertaker style? Lights go off and boom, he's back with the Prime.
I had 2 last week. I just not want him. He's not up on my shelf now.
I still remember when Fallon come on, just laughed at him and called him Prime Boy.
Prime Boy. See, I've gone very novelty in the background. So drinks in the background at the minute. We've got Duff beer.
Fairs.
And you gave him a horrid draw. That was nice of you.
Yeah.
I know.
To be fair, it was you that pulled the non-seed out.
Shh. Don't let facts get in the way of an app.
All I did was make sure that I'd got a game. That was all. I just made sure he was playing. That's it.
Everyone, thank you very much for your continued support. As always, really enjoyed the live lounge this evening. This will be available as an audio only in the morning, but really, really good show. Remember, if you haven't yet, drop us a like and subscribe. We're etching closer to 40k, so the quicker we get there, the quicker we'll shut up for a little bit, not too long. But everyone, thank you very, very much as always. I've been Phil Bars, Jack Garwood, and Dan Simpson. We have been Online Darts, and we'll see you all very, very soon.